said, "Your son must leave." He will leave the desert and will never return. His head is filled with dreams of the future, of cement and distance. Don't take down your tent, my son. Leave, but don't take down your tent. I will sleep there, and will be waiting for you.
Chingetti is the 7th holy city of Islam, a dying city in the middle of the Mauritanian desert. The only thing left of its splendor is the memory of a glorious past and a certain pride against the encroaching desert. For centuries, when the date harvest arrived, the nomadic families joined together in the nearby palm groves. In the last few years, the gradual abandonment of nomadic life has separated families even more, and the Getna, the date festival, is now a gathering among nomads and city people, among those who still graze in the pastures and those who have emigrated to the capital or abroad. Desert Gathering is the story of some of these reunited families.
My name is Mahmoud Mohammed. My parents were nomads until 1988. I currently run a hostel for tourists next to the Chingetti Mosque. I was born and raised in the desert, although my family has always been connected to this city, which little by little is being buried by the sand. The dunes are advancing, and although Chingetti is fighting to beat the drought, it is losing. But there was a time when the city was very big.
When the empires of Ghana and Mali dominated West Africa, camel caravans crossing the desert were obliged to pass through Chingetti. Wise men and poets settled here from all corners of the Arab world. Chingetti was a pearl in the middle of the desert. Each year, millions of religious followers would pass through this city on their journey to Mecca. There were 11 mosques, many Quranic schools, and libraries where thousands of manuscripts were kept. The city lives on. Barely, but it lives. The main mosque, some of the religious schools, and the books still remain. As long as the books exist, Chingetti will stay alive.
When my parents abandoned nomadic life, I went to Nouakchott, the nation's capital, to study business administration. I later returned to Chingetti, opened the hostel, and began to take care of the library, which is the biggest treasure that my family has. It is very big, and we have more than 250 books that date from as far back as the 13th century. The library was founded by my great-grandfather, who during that time bought, sold, exchanged, collected, and copied books. There are many books about Islam in this library: poetry, medicine, literature, history, many different subjects. The books were never protected, but I have restored them and now take care of them so they will last as long as possible. This is a book that talks about the Prophet Muarra, and it dates back to the 14th century.
La louange du prophète Mohammed date du XIVe siècle. La même chose aujourd'hui dans l'école.
Here, we have a Quran from the 18th century. It is for traveling. When the caravan stopped for a rest so that the camels could drink or eat, the people would take out their small Quran and would pray.
Donc ça, c'est un manuscrit du Coran Karim pour les voyages.
The books are kept in this old house, have been collected over the centuries during journeys around Africa. When someone saw an interesting book, they hired a clerk to copy it, or, if it was for sale, they bought it.
À l'époque, la maison aussi était faite chez lui. On garde la grosse, l'original dans les bambous.
These bamboo sticks were used to transport letters in the caravans.
On écrit l'acte, on donne pour la personne, et puis le juge il garde l'original dans un bambou. Ça se conserve très bien. Et aussi, c'est utilisé pour transporter les lettres avec la caravane. Par exemple, on voit l'adresse.
This letter was written by a family in 1130 in the month of Isria, which is equivalent to the Christian 17th century. They lived in Gulaimi, in Morocco. It is addressed to the relatives living in Chingetti, and it talks about the cost of the products that the caravan was carrying. It is written on gazelle skin. There was not a lot of paper during that time, and they used this skin to write.
It's July, the month of the Getna festival. Mama is Mahmud's brother, and he also lives in Chingetti, where he has a store and runs a Quranic children's school. Here in the Tanusha oasis, he will reunite with the rest of his family in just a few days. At the moment, he is waiting with Sinapu, his wife, and with Sidi, his small son. It will be a big celebration, and they need to prepare everything, especially the date harvest. The Getna is the best time of year, when the nomads abandon the pastures and take refuge in the palm groves in order to rest and meet up with their relatives and friends. These are days of celebration, of peace, of long conversations, and of religious song that lasts until sunrise. The family of Mama and Mahmud was nomadic until the 1980s. It was a hard time, and circumstances made them look for other alternatives. Only one of the brothers, Ali, continued living the nomadic life. The rest of the family opted to settle down. Some remained in Chingetti, others went to Nouakchott. Their father's younger brother, Da, emigrated to Europe, to Paris. The Tanusha palm grove has been the family's meeting point for centuries. Today, the oasis, like the family itself, is in danger of extinction. The encroaching desert is eating it up, but they are not willing to accept defeat. They fight against the dunes with dikes and against the distance by gathering together in the desert. Life passes in the desert without many changes. Ali is Mahmud and Mama's older brother. He took care of the animals when the rest of the family moved to the city. From the beginning, he lived with his wife Deida and the rest of her siblings. Together, they worked hard to survive in a hostile environment that was determined to throw them out forever. 2 horrible droughts decimated the domestic animals, making survival difficult. More than 70% of the population of Mauritania lived on the pastures. The nomads' numbers have been reduced by 50% in the last 20 years. But they held out, and the reward was not wealth, but dignity. The dignity carved from strokes of silence and days lost without traces of water. The dignity of knowing how to look death in the eye with determination and to move on unharmed, stronger, still proud to inhabit the desert.
Our mother told us that God created the desert as a place to roam freely. He called the wind from the south, the wind from the north, and all the other winds, and he ordered them to come together. He took a handful of this perfect blend, and the camel was born, for the glory of Allah and for the benefit of man. He tied compassion to its feet, he tossed treasures on its back, and he gave wealth to the sincere. He gave birds the ability to fly, and tied freedom to the camel's tail.
The desert is not only made of sand and silence. The nomads always needed cities to return to, reference points to determine impossible distances. This is how Tombouctou, Agadez, Insala, and Chingetti came about. Stable realities for a shifting world. Chingetti is the holiest city of the Saharan desert. To die among its decrepit walls is to die a little less. Islam penetrated the Sahara the same way everything happens in the desert, slowly but relentlessly. It arrived from distant Arabia, loaded with absolute truths, and in just a few years, that unique God was reborn, accompanied by other gods and foreign spirits, by fetishes and holy men that protect a man during his life and guide him after death towards paradise. The God of the desert is a crossbred God.
I spend my time preparing for the Getna celebration, going from one place to another. In just a few days, the rest of my relatives will arrive from Nouakchott, and we will go to the palm grove. I have just come from Salif's home to invite him to the celebration. Salif is the best griot, or storyteller, in Chingetti. He also plays the tedinit, the traditional guitar. Everyone else has turned to electric guitars and uses amplifiers so that they can be heard from as far as possible. At night, when there is a celebration somewhere, you can hear the music from a distance of many kilometers. Salif is different. He still tells the stories of the ancient legends and plays the music of the Haima games.
Mahmoud's aunts, Aisha and Fatima, have been living alone for more than a decade. They are married, but their husbands are traders based in Nouakchott. They only return home a few times a year, which is just enough time for their wives to become pregnant. The next time they return home, these men will meet their new children. In this way, the women share numerous offspring that are supported thanks to the Craftswomen's Cooperative. They founded it, and today there are 14 women working and living in the same circumstances. They mainly work with lamb and camel skin. Mahmoud buys book covers from them, and the nomads order cushions or wineskins for water.
Old Yeslim practically forms part of the family. He worked for my father for many years. When we abandoned the nomadic life, he settled in the city, where he continued to work as a blacksmith, his lifelong profession. Yeslim was never a slave. He was treated like one of the family. Even today, my relationship with him is that of a grandfather and a grandson. I remember how he would join my father and Ali by the fire at night. They would tell stories about how the Regibats attacked the city, and how everyone ran as far away as possible to hide.
Things have changed, but the world is not better or worse, just different. Before, work was much more difficult. There was less food, but we could find water easily. Tourism has brought a lot of progress. I could not live just from the orders from the people here. Foreigners order locks, keys, pins. Some even bring me the measurements of their front door.
To satisfy the demand for meat, Chingetti's camel slaughterer sacrifices 3 or 4 a week. Due to the Getna, the population doubles, and they kill a camel a day. Before cutting the camel's neck, it is placed facing Mecca. The animal falls to the ground without any commotion, and the butchering begins, which lasts almost an hour. The camel is, as they say, a recent arrival to the desert. Before the renowned caravan routes, the so-called cart routes had existed in Roman times. These routes connected the Mediterranean with sub-Saharan Africa, but the journey was made in horse-drawn carts. It's also true that at that time, the Sahara was not as vast as it is today, and the journey was not as difficult. Due to the dunes' gradual advance, it became impossible for horses to make the trip, and so camels were imported from Arabia. They quickly became essential for the men of the desert. What would have become of mankind in the Sahara without camels? Without camels, the desert would only be a home for scorpions. No part of the camel is wasted, whether dead or alive. The head, hoofs, tail, everything is eaten and used in many ways. The hump is not an enormous water deposit, as we all believed as children, but an energetic fat mass that is the camel's true engine. A good hump doubles the sale price, and at the market, it is the most solicited part of the camel. The hump and the liver are the most expensive. The rest of the internal organs are the least expensive. The camel is a democratic and solitary animal, in life and in death. Alive, they have served as a king's mount and as the slave's beast of burden. Once at the market, the camels are butchered into delicacies for nobles and protein for the less wealthy.
يا منادم تمنين جي اسمع دي نقول لك تمنين جي وقف عندي اللي اخذ ديك في التمنين ايوه تودي له زين طيب بالكبده وين هذا لكن هيدا ودي وصار
My uncle Da, and Eselmu, my third brother, have not come to Chingetti for a long time. Eselmu works in Nouakchott, heading a computer project, and my uncle Da emigrated to France in 1989. Eselmu has come back, but Da has not returned since our mother died about 5 years ago. We have not come together for the Getna festival since then.
Mahmoud has been working in experimental agriculture for several years as an alternative to the traditional economic resources in Chingetti. He has a garden in the palm grove near the city where he cultivates new plants, which are unknown to this area.
What do you have here?
There's a palm grove that I planted last year. The livestock usually comes and eats the dates from the lowest branches, which is why I've put up a fence. Air can get in, and so does sunlight.
We can't even pick the dates.
Of course you can't. We can't either, nor the children who often come here and tear them off.
You have truly done a good job.
في عدة نخلات كانوا أصلاً نبتات فيها مهدد بالواقع.
2 years ago, this plot of land only had 3 large palm trees, and even they were threatened by the sand. I dug this well, bought machinery, leveled the land, and built a dike to keep the dune from covering it. Everyone else only plants palm trees, that's all they believe in. I had the idea of buying seeds and small fruit trees that I brought from Nouakchott. Everything I planted is grown and is alive. I wanted to show the people that it's possible to live without palm trees. Palm trees are fine, but there are other things. Now, neighbors come to ask me for seeds for lemon trees or banana plants, which are said to be good for keeping mosquitoes away. In a few years, these gardens will be full of fruit trees.
ولكن في واحدة من بتفك.
أنا بايك مختار ومفضل عن مفضل
الأولى ذيك
اللي شفت فيها نفسي جابرهم من نفسي واحدة لا تنتهي.
خذ وياس من عينات النباتات طبيعية وعندها مضخة تصب لها الميت اللي تحت رشيت تحتها غد
مصوبة من الظاهر
مصوبة تدخلوا.
Mahmoud's family belongs to the Brotherhood of the Tijaniya. Organizing brotherhoods of the faithful around the figure of a holy man is a practice that is looked down upon by Orthodox Muslims. Beginning in the 13th century, the Sufis reacted against the strict Islamic orthodoxy and adopted more mystical interpretations of the Book of Law. In some way, the Sufis' more open attitude facilitated the mixing of Islamic beliefs with those prior to the arrival of Islam. Beginning in the 13th century, the Brotherhoods and the Marabouts, the holy men, were essential elements for the expansion of Islam in West Africa, and Chingetti was one of the centers of that expansion. Eselmu and Da form part of the Brotherhood, even though they don't live in the city. The Brotherhood is a group of people who are faithful to an idea, and they belong to the Brotherhood despite the distance. The Tijaniya Brotherhood is the biggest and most flexible of Mauritania's brotherhoods. Its rights are simple, and its demands are few, which has made it very popular. In Chingetti, there are still some ancient madrasas, the Quranic schools that made the city famous throughout the Islamic world. The Marabouts have taken on the responsibility of keeping a 1,000-year-old tradition alive, which still attracts young people from the farthest corners of the country. The madrasa is more than a school, or better yet, it is a school in the broadest sense of the word. It is a space and time dedicated to the discussion and exchange of words from the Prophet Muhammad. These boys who are now listening to the marabut are being initiated in a language that is as valid today as it was on the first day.
Today I want to talk about the problems and advantages of the modern world. European scientists have discovered many things, especially in this last decade. Let's discuss what the Quran's point of view is.
The Quran and the teachings of Hajj Omar or Hamed al-Tiyani are still valid today. Although it appears that new advances have brought new problems, it's not true. The problems have always been the same: egotism, vanity, and the desire to possess more and more.
I agree. We find answers to everything in the Quran. It is simply knowing how to interpret its meaning and being able to adapt it to our circumstances.
In the Quran, God tells the story of two men who fell asleep in a cave. When they woke up, they realized that 300 years had gone by while they were sleeping. Nothing was the same. The form of government, the people, the customs. Don't you ever feel like those men did when they came out of their cave?
The marabuts are not only teachers, but also spiritual leaders. In the past, they had moral authority, which allowed them to influence the decisions made by the tribal leaders. Today, this power has evaporated before the high circles, but not amongst the rest of the population, which still goes to the marabuts for advice or to ask for an amulet to ward off the evil eye.
Excuse me?
In Chingetti, there is one television for the whole city. Eselmu and Da have not seen the TV yet, since it was installed in the cultural center just recently. I like to watch the Champions League soccer matches. And when there are no soccer matches, we watch films.
We read the manuscript, Dr. Assistance. And we should get down to the short strokes, the short, thereby prolonging my unfortunate existence.
It would be naive to declare that the nomads live in a time capsule. Aside from the peaceful and heady aspect of the camp, many things have changed in the last decade. Maybe too many things and too fast. Nomadic life in Mauritania, as in the rest of the world, is a lifestyle headed for extinction, one that is breathing its last and giving way to urban life. In Sahel, the main causes for the disappearance of the nomads are the drying wells, the lack of trust towards men who do not respect the frontier, and the call of the city. Ali and his family are holding out like true gladiators for survival in the desert.
Everything that is important to us is here in the camp. I have also tried city life. I bought a wheat grinder and worked hard, but I had no other choice but to return to the desert. I could not adapt to the car fumes or to the fast pace. Everyone wanted wheat at the same time, and I only had one machine. I don't want any other life but this one. But my children want to study. The money that my wife and I earn from the sale of animals pays for our children's education. Our older children live in Nouakchott, and they only come back on vacation in order not to forget about us.
My dream is for it to rain for days and days on end until the dry land becomes an immense green meadow and our children come back to live with us forever. My dream is every day. Here, life is hard, but Ali and I do not like the city. I prefer to be close to the animals. Aside from the difficulties, there is still enough milk and food to live without going hungry. We have everything that we could possibly want, but without luxuries. Sometimes we go to Chingetti, we sell some animals, and we buy the things that we need: salt, rope, tea.
Ali and Deida divide the daily chores equally, with no more conflicts than any other couples with 30 years of dedication behind them. In the last few decades, 500,000 nomads, 1/4 of the country's population, has swapped the desert for a shack on the outskirts of Nouakchott or Nouadhibou. And another 600,000 people have left the country.
We do not get many visitors. The other camps are far away, but sometimes the neighbors are inspired to come. And there's one person who never fails to come. His name is Ahmed. My radio is the only one within many kilometers that can pick up broadcasts from Europe, and Ahmed comes every day to listen to the French radio newscast. His brother immigrated to Marseille 3 years ago, and he says to him by listening to the French radio. He wants only to follow his brother's footsteps. I don't mind doing him this favor. In fact, I've also gotten quite accustomed to listening to it. And when Ahmed isn't here, I often tune it in anyway. Neither of us speaks French, but it has simply become a habit.
July is the last of the dry months of the year. The rainy season is coming, and certainly in a few weeks the grass will begin to grow. Not to the point of making Deida's dream come true, the dream of immense green meadows that will make her children return home, but enough to keep alive the hope that the Sahel desert frontier will continue allowing the nomads to roam freely. Like the rest of the family, Ali and Deida will go to the family gathering at the palm grove. The summer pasture is all used up, and they need to move the camp towards an area where they can find food until the rain comes. The camels do not need a lot of water, but the goats do. The only place to find fresh grass is in the south, where the humid areas are found.
It has been a long time since I have seen my brothers. I often remember the times when more than 100 people came together for the Getna. People came to the palm grove from places that I've never heard of. We only see my uncles and cousins at the Getna, which is why we anxiously await this moment. At night, our parents would stay up talking and singing until very late. My cousins, my brothers and I, would leave the palm grove and walk for a long time until the haimas looked like small lightning bugs and the canticles could barely be heard. Then, everyone started to leave, one by one, and we never came together again. I've not gone to school, but I like to listen carefully to what people say. I have memorized a phrase that a foreigner once read to me. He said that walking is in itself an encouraging movement. One's head becomes just as vivacious as one's legs. He who walks gives free rein to his fantasy, imagination, and thinking. He who walks this way has no possessions. Possessions require a sedentary life. You have to stay where you are. In the desert, since nothing owns us, we own everything.
The Tanusher oasis is about 2 hours from Chingetti. The route is bad, and it once was an actual minefield because of the confrontations between the Mauritanian government and the Polisario Front. With the end of the colonial period, during the second half of the 20th century, they divided the land, and Mauritania was established as a new state south of Morocco. For the family, the Getna festival is the best time of the year. The dates are ripe, and it is the perfect excuse to continue relaxing. Harvesting dates is not big business in the Tanusher oasis. In fact, no one collects them with the idea of selling them, but rather, their only intention is to eat dates during the entire month. And if need be, they dry some of them in order to eat them throughout the year. During the Getna festival, everything takes place slowly, and with a certain routine as well. They get up every day at sunrise, and before the sun is so high, making it impossible to walk out in the open, they collect the dates. As the days go by, it is more difficult to find palm trees packed with them. What a pleasure it is to peel a ripe date and let the sugar pulp slide down your throat. Not all the dates are the same. There are different levels of quality, more than 100 types, distinct flavors, and they even look different. There are very few palm trees that can offer juicy dates. Fertile trees are well looked after, as if they were members of the family. A fertile palm tree should be taken care of throughout the year and protected from the sand. It's an investment. There are many people who will pay a lot of money for a fertile palm tree. Before, only the nomads came to these areas. But now, it has become a fad among those who earn money in the city. As soon as a business works out, people buy a herd of camels and a palm tree. The desert advances. This oasis, which only a few years ago was twice as big as it is today, probably won't last much longer. When Saint-Exupéry said that a man's kingdom is interior, like the desert, that it is not made up of sand or of veiled Tuaregs, he must have meant the invisible desert, which is as real as the other one, although only a few people can perceive it. But the real desert, the one that can be weighed and measured, is made up of sand and face-veiled Bedouins. They are the same men who will one day remove the cloths that cover their faces and flee to the city.
These dunes are threatening us. 20 years ago, they were very far away, and each year they are more than 2 meters closer to the palm trees. In the last 20 years, they have grown about 40 meters on every side. When the sand reaches the palm trees, fruit will not be able to grow. Some of the palm trunks are so smooth that it is impossible to climb them. The trunk gets thinner, little by little, until it ends up falling down. The dunes force us to cover the roots so that the palm trees can live longer. If this continues, in 15 years, there won't be any palm trees nor anyone to take care of them. Although my true occupation is business, I dedicate a large part of my time to the Quranic school. In Chingetti, I give classes to children of all ages, but here in Tanusher, I only have a straw hut where every afternoon I work with the youngest children. The children of today do not like to study very much. They like to play. They are not like us. Today, everything is different.
يحسب أن لن يقدر عليه أحد يقول أهلكت مالا لبدا يحسب أن لم يره أيحسب أتاش فوقه أتا فوقه ثنتين ما فوقه ثلاثة واثنين فوقه ثلاثة ما يشتغل قوم أرجع البلد.
Síguenos is the person who takes care of the palm grove during the year. He was a slave, and today is a free man. He has never seen what the world is like beyond Chingetti. In Mauritania, slavery was abolished for the first time by the French in 1905. Later on, in 1960, the first independent government brought slavery back. But once again, it was declared illegal in the 1980s. The continuous repeals do not seem to have taken care of the problem. According to Amnesty International and other human rights organizations, there are actually about 100,000 slaves in Mauritania. Men owned by other men, men who do not receive a salary for their labor. Síguenos was freed the last time slavery was abolished. Slavery has been a constant factor in the history of this region. It was part of the war booty in the conflicts between the ethnic or tribal rivals, which occurred during the period of the spread of Islam and also during colonial times. These times have passed, but slavery continues. After such a long absence, the men of the family join together to eat and talk about their lives. Da tells them about Paris, his job, about how the Europeans live at a fast pace. He's fine, but sometimes he longs for his old life. Everything is so different. Mahmoud is happy with his life. The tourist hostel, the library, but above all, the discovery of the internet on his computer has fulfilled all his aspirations. From Chingetti, he feels close to everyone. Eselmu is also happy with his activities. He thinks Nouakchott is growing quickly and will soon be a modern city with a big future, which means the children in Mauritania will not be any different from other children around the world. Mama agrees and also believes that his children will have a better life. And Ali hopes that he won't be the last nomad. He hopes that life does not only exist in the city, and that the new generations will continue to appreciate the true beauty of the desert. Temperatures can reach about 50 degrees Celsius at this time of year. During the hottest hours of the day, there is no choice but to take refuge inside the khaymas. They drink tea, a lot of tea, and they play cards. Men and women play, one game after another, with plenty of laughter, and a few debts acquired while playing cards. These are not economic debts, but penalties such as putting cushions on top of one's head without letting them fall off. If the cushions fall, another one is added on. Another penalty is trying to blow the cards over so that they land face up. With such heat, blowing energetically is pure torture. Sometimes the losers have to go outside and walk around the tent. Other times, they have to paint their faces with charcoal. Mama cannot play cards. He recently visited Mecca, and he's not allowed to participate in any sort of game. He watches, gives advice, and laughs at the losers paying their debts, but he does not play. This game, however, is for women only. A few holes are dug in the sand, and through numeric combinations, the most skillful and mentally agile can win. Another one of the male activities during the Getna festival is target shooting. More than just a sport, it's an act of recognition of the past. The men of the desert have been and needed to be good warriors. The desert has grown like a jungle of sand, an imposing stage for a radical representation of life or death. Due to this warrior past, the men of the desert have a curious fascination for weapons. They like the smell of gunpowder, the clicking sound of the metal trigger, and above all, the competition and the danger. During these days of withdrawal and self-satisfaction, the women take advantage and tattoo their skin with henna. There are craftswomen specialized in working with this plant, which dyes the skin brown, but as time passes by, it takes on a reddish tone. The drawing will remain on Senapu's foot for a few weeks. By mixing crushed henna leaves with water, a sort of paste is made, which is used to decorate the body and to clean and dye hair. This is a beauty salon for desert women. A henna tattoo may last a day. It depends on the difficulty of the drawing and the skill of the craftswoman. They have not changed the decorative designs throughout the centuries. They are the same geometric forms found on the facades of the Walata homes or on the walls of Marrakesh or the Alhambra in Granada.
My God, may I live to see the water of the rain falling again on the land, and the herds crossing the valleys to graze in them and rest completely. And listen to the men that accompany them singing the notes of the violin.
The Getna nights are long. Poetry, music. They take possession of the palm grove, and the sound of the tidinit reaches the highest dunes. The place where Ali and his cousins walk to see the camp in the distance and to listen to the music, like a murmur caressing the distance. The night celebrations are an excuse for ambiguity. The words of the songs evoke impossible pleasures and great epic poems about legendary heroes. They are religious and profane songs, songs about battles, games, and nostalgia for a lost time. The music seems to be Arabic, but it is deeper than Arabic. In any case, it seems to have a certain connection with the songs of the Egyptian Nile. It is, like everything on the Sahel frontier, a mixed music, born out of the constant crossing of never-ending paths.
Many years have gone by. For everyone, this gathering is a cure against oblivion. Since our mother died, it seems as if time has moved faster. She kept us together, and although we left, there was always a motherly tie that made us return. All we had to do was follow that invisible cord. But here we are, together again, together to remember her and honor her memory. I am so happy to be with them.
The women wait, like the land, like the desert. They seem immobile, eternally waiting. The women are the ones that remain, constant in a world that is slowly surrendering. The mother of Mahmud, of Ali, of Mama, and of Eselmu is not with them anymore. But the desert is an immense mother, an eternal wife for men with distant eyes. In the desert, there will always be a mother to continue nursing life.